Hi there. Welcome to the Ample Audio channel. We have a great interview to play for you today, which actually serves as a fantastic case study for the benefits of getting your brand into the audio world. Michelle Lomas, Ample's GM, talks to Zane McIntyre, the CEO and co-founder of affiliate marketing company Commission Factory, about their decision to create the podcast and the journey that it's taken their brand on. In Flex Your Hustle, we hear from marketers who succeeded against the odds, who may not have had any training or experience in marketing whatsoever, but went with their gut and thrived. Or from the marketers who were brave enough to try something a little different. Both Zane and Michelle speak with authority on the subject, because if you didn't know already, Michelle is actually also the host of the podcast, putting her years of marketing and agency experience to good use. If you're on the fence about whether audio is right for your brand, listen to Zane's experience, and hopefully it helps you see the value in getting your company's name into people's ears.
Zane, thank you for joining us. So we wanted to have a little chat today about Flex Your Hustle, the wonderful podcast which we are creating with you for Commission Factory. But before we do, why don't we start by talking a little bit about Commission Factory and what you guys do for the listeners who may not be familiar with you.
Sure. Commission Factory is an affiliate network or partner marketing network. The term for us keeps sort of changing a little bit, but essentially we are a middleman that connects two different parties. So the online retailers and the affiliates and the technology providers, the content bloggers, the influencers. So we connect all these parties. And we are software developers as well. So we have software or MarTech that sits in the middle, and it's tracking these relationships between the two parties. So we're very much a mechanism that connects two different parties.
And who is your customer?
That's always been hard because we have a few different customers. And so it makes it difficult to really hone in on our marketing message at times. On one side, we have the online retailers and service providers. So we work with about 700 of those across Asia Pacific. And then on the other side, we have the affiliates or partners. And so these guys are content bloggers, influencers. They are cashback sites, coupon sites, loyalty type things, and even some of the larger superannuation funds and banks utilize us for, filling out their rewards systems.
And how do you normally reach them?
Generally, it's word of mouth, referrals, and creating ambassadors with our existing customers. So we don't spend any money on traditional marketing. So whether it be paid social or paid search, we don't do any of that. So we find other ways, and that is either through the retention of our customers, getting them to talk about us to other colleagues, but also presenting ourselves as thought leaders and, people that they or a company they want to be aligned with. That's how we do a lot of our marketing and how we get more customers. So very much a word of mouth type company, and we are ever present on social media, but we don't pay for it.
Excellent. I like to hear that. It's very on brand with our podcast. Maybe we should do an interview about you guys on the podcast. I'm pretty sure I've been trying to do that one.
That's right.
So you decided late last year that you guys wanted to add a podcast to the mix, to your marketing mix. How did that come about?
I'd like to say there wasn't any FOMO, but there was a little bit of it there. We ourselves enjoyed listening to podcasts, and we could see other people in related industries doing podcasts. And we've always tried to position ourselves, as I have mentioned, as thought leaders, and thought, well, is this a different medium that we haven't really explored properly and that we should take advantage of? So we set about sort of looking into, what it would take and why would we do one? Is there a good, story for us, or is there a potential of return for this as well? So our exploration, took us down many, many paths, but also overwhelming as well because it was new for us. And so having to learn everything from scratch, what do we need? What are the tools that we need? It became really overwhelming and daunting as well. But ultimately, we did want to continue down the path of thought leadership and brand awareness, but we've always tried to present ourselves as very authentic and genuine. We wanted to tell stories and tell our story the way that we normally do, which is generally quite casual and informal and fun, but authentic always.
And when you made the decision to add that podcast as a channel that would allow you to tell that story, did you find there was pushback at all? Were people very receptive internally? Was it an easy decision to make, or did you have to kind of pitch it around and prove out the channel?
I think for most of us who made the decision, it was an easy one. Sure, we put it out there to the rest of the company as well and to get their feedback and thoughts. And then everybody wanted to be involved. Everybody wanted to host it or be on it and have some involvement.
As soon as you say we're doing a podcast in the company, it like galvanizes people, doesn't it? Can I host it? Can I do something?
Absolutely. We had a lot of people putting their hand up like, oh, this is going to get complicated really quickly. We made the decision to go ahead based on that thought leadership and continuing our brand awareness. It was a good investment. We could either go putting the money into traditional advertising or we can go and do something new, something none of us have done before. So for us internally as well, it enthused us in ways that paid search or paid social never could because this was new, it was fun. We actually had a product at the end of it as well, something that we could be proud of. So it was an easy decision. Sure, I had to move some funds around and budgets because it was something we didn't budget for when we set our budgets last year, but we felt it was important enough that I'm like, we'll make this work.
We'll talk about results in a little bit, but let's talk about the journey in the production process, because when you came to us to Ample to talk to us about potentially taking it on from a production perspective, you had a couple of episodes in the bag. So how did you kind of make that decision? You kind of recorded a few and then you realised maybe let's bring in Ample. How did that come about?
Sure. Well, we had the episodes or a couple of them recorded and we even, we reconfigured our office, we built a sound room, all these sorts of things. We thought we're going to do this well. I mean, have no fear, that sound room will still go to good use now. But those few episodes, whilst good, we weren't the experts in this field to either say, yes, the elements of it are all there, but overall, is it crap? To be honest, where they're thinking like, I think this is right. But we really needed some professional help there to sort of guide us as well. And is it crap? And I think we ultimately made the decision, let's re-record.
Yes. Yeah, we did. Not to fault what was done, but I think there's a challenge when you start to create before you fully define what you're building. And I think we realised when we started going through that strategy process that some of those things hadn't quite clearly been defined, right? So we did do quite a lengthy strategy process. I think by the time, you guys came to us in December, it took us about 3 or 4 months to get to the strategy stage before we were ready to produce. Were there elements in that strategy process that surprised you, or some things that you learned, or things that you hadn't really considered before?
I think that even with the name of the podcast and the direction we ended up taking was far more articulated and succinct than where we started from, where the name of it was quite broad and we were just looking at stories from people, but no real theme that was carrying it through. So I think during that process that when we were working with you guys, we articulated much better the kind of stories we're interested in. Then also we were thinking about the Commission Factory story and where we are. And it's like, wait, we have a hustle story too. That's where I guess the name with, Flex Your Hustle came from as well. It's like there are hustle stories out there, people who achieved great things with limited resources or no knowledge and had to learn on the job. I mean, because that was our story. So therefore, it felt personal and then ties back again to that sort of genuine, authentic brand that we've tried to build.
It's really funny. In the process of the strategy, I remember presenting the ideas and working on those things together and defining who the audience was. And there was one thing that we disagreed on, the only thing. You didn't want any commercial messaging at all. Do you remember this?
I do. I do remember that.
Yeah,
yes.
You didn't want to put any commercial messaging in there. You're like, no, this is just about featuring our customers and our publishers. And we actually really pushed hard and said, no, it's okay. Like, it's actually okay to have your commercial messaging in there because listeners in podcasts understand it's being, paid for. That content is being paid for and produced by a brand, and that's how you get all this great content. So there's like a permission in a lot of ways. How do you feel about that now?
I feel okay about it now, maybe because I had approval to do so.
Yeah.
I mean, it stemmed from our industry. So we have either a lot of players or competitors in this industry where so much of their messaging and the content they put out there is extremely self-gratuitous. We really wanted, to make sure that this was about the customers, the people out there who are hustling, who are building their empires, and, who want to work with us, because our focus should have been always on them and, how we can benefit them. And whilst our software that we build, we always have to consider, how is this benefiting the customers? This in and of itself was almost an extension of that, where it's well, how can this content benefit the customers? And so I was mindful of not making this a gratuitous exercise where all we did was talk about how wonderful we are, which some other players in the industry definitely do that. And we didn't want to be that. But I was happy to compromise a little here as long as it wasn't too much and too in your face, and it just felt like the podcast was purely an advertisement for us, but really feel that we do focus on the customers or these entrepreneurs that are out there, mixed with a little bit of commercial messaging.
I think having, for the listeners who maybe haven't listened to an episode, in general, our episodes are about 20 to 30 minutes long, interview style, and in sort of halfway through, we have a commercial message which we alert the listeners to that, we're sort of cutting to an ad for Commission Factory. But what it does, that 60-second gap, which we're very open about to listeners, is it almost gives us permission to not have to talk about it in the content. We always make an effort to ask a question, with our guests around how are you using affiliate marketing? Is it working for you? But, the rest of the 20, 30 minutes is their story and getting to the other pieces of their hustle and getting that kind of out. So I almost feel as though that commercial messaging, again, gives us that sort of permission and freedom to have a really great, comfortable conversation that doesn't feel like a big old advertorial for Commission Factory, which is probably why it's doing so well.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And so that was my compromise, and I was very happy with that. Yes.
Yeah. So, segue into how it's working, I pulled the latest numbers today.
Brilliant.
To date, we've had 515 downloads. We've been active for a little bit over 4 weeks now, and 4 episodes. About 32% of those listens all up have actually been via video. So a strategy and a tactic that we did very early on was to include video in the mix and include YouTube as another distribution channel, which is working quite well for us. We've had 13.5% click-through rate and 70% completion rate of episodes.
It's not bad.
It's very good.
I'm very happy with that.
And our top episode and all our favourites is with Rob Godwin at Love Honey.
No surprise there.
No surprise.
I still get comments.
Yeah. The opener always gets people cracking up, that great review.
Yes.
But a very, very interesting episode as well from Rob in terms of how he's scaled his business when, in the sexual wellness industry, you're very restricted by where you can advertise and what you can say. So that was actually unsurprising. So those are the stats, which are pretty good. But how's it actually working for you and the business?
I think even, let's say even with Rob's episode that he did, I feel that for our team as well, it was an opportunity for them to realize something that maybe they didn't know before, which was the struggle that, let's say, adult toys and gifts and sexual wellness companies, they can't use traditional mediums for advertising because there's just so many restrictions and censorship on that. Some of my staff even said, I didn't realize that they weren't able to actually use Facebook and all that sort of thing. No, they can't.
Yeah.
And so it gives us a deeper understanding of our customers and the people we work with, but also by producing this podcast and the sort of marketing we can do around it, it's opening up more conversations with people as well. My goal now is to ensure that I have a level of correlation and causation because the amount of inbound leads we started getting when we launched increased. Actually, I saw them increase. And when did this happen? It's about when the podcast started. Well, I can't necessarily correlate this at this moment, but the timing is interesting. So we are seeing more interest in us, but it's also the conversations and engagement levels that we've received on social media as well by sharing our podcast, talking about it, talking about our guests. So much so that even this year compared to last year, we have had a 400% increase in engagement on our social media.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, massive. I
Massive.
thought it was a mistake. Until we looked into it further, like, no, that's right.
Yeah. We did have a conversation before we launched. We had a very long meeting and we talked about all the different ways that this podcast had to be promoted to make it a success. And you guys jumped on board 100%. You've done all the best practice stuff. You've shared it out to all your employees to share. You've got a space on the website. You're using transcripts, thinking about SEO, all of those elements. So it's unsurprising, I think, that we've seen the success so far that we've seen. What's the feedback been like, internally and externally?
The feedback, let's say, internally has been great as well. We've had staff talking about it on our internal messaging. So we use Teams. We used to be Slack, but now we use the Aldi of Slack, which is Teams. And so
I've never heard that before. That's excellent.
So we use that and we announce whenever a new podcast is out. So it's like, new one dropped this morning. Make sure you go listen. It's great to hear staff giving feedback as well. Like, that was really great. And they also love that we have tried to keep, let's say, the timing of each podcast, relatively low, so it can just be absorb this and then get on with your day. They've loved it. And then, I've had people at the gym come up to me and say, oh, listen to one of your episodes. It was really good. And it's like, was it the Love Honey one? Is that, you want to ask me which product we're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
They are listening to it. Even I've had my mom and my sister like, oh, that was so much fun. They really enjoyed it too. So everyone is saying that they're enjoying it. And now even the podcast with only, four episodes, 4 or 5?
4 episodes,
yeah. 4. We're even getting interest from people who are asking to be a guest. So,
great.
That was unexpected, at least so early. Anyways, I thought maybe season 2, we would start getting that request. All around, it's been really positive. But what we've loved is that it follows the ethos of Commission Factory as well, where maybe we didn't have millions of dollars to pour into something, but we still produced something that was really polished and high quality. And that's kind of the standard that I've always tried to employ with the company as well. I know they say, it doesn't have to be fully fleshed out or finished and you can release something. It's just not my way. Something goes out, it must be good.
And it's a touch point, it's if someone listens to that first episode and then they don't love it, they're not going to come back. So you want that experience, whatever experience to be. Right. And it doesn't take that much effort, maybe a little touch more money to employ a team that can edit and polish and do all of those things. But it makes such a difference. And I think what we've seen with the series as well is people go back. All of that content is evergreen. So it's not like social where, you pop something in a feed and it's live and you see a huge spike and then you see very minimal activity post a couple of days. We continue to see those episodes listened to. In some of our series, we've got some series that have been running for 6 years and those first season episodes are still listened to years later. So it's always important, I think, to exactly to your point, put the effort in the beginning and make sure it's right, because people will continue to listen to that. We'll still get better.
That's right. We'll improve things too as we go on. But, first impressions last.
They do. They really do. And we've got some new formats as well coming out in the next few weeks, which I think was great that you guys were open to sort of utilising a lot of your existing content too. We sort of think about audio channels as just that, it's a channel. So it doesn't always have to be recorded. So we're using some of your previous webinars that you guys have had posted up and editing them into podcasts. We're yet to see the results. But we will soon find out. It's very exciting. It's all part of the journey. So I guess a question for you is, still early days for us, but it's been a long journey actually. From the first time we started talking in December, it's now August and we're 4 episodes in. What have you learnt through this process? What have been some surprising tidbits?
I've learned it is much harder to find the guests than we thought it would be.
Yes.
I think that if we had done this differently, I would definitely say have a list of maybe 30. Let's just write them all down, and, people that we think would have an interesting story. We have some guests that just ignore our communications outright, only because, we're not looking to just talk to an account manager. We're trying to get to a founder or someone higher up, someone who has that dirt, because as founders, you've seen some things you know, over the years.
Tried some things.
That's right.
A lot of things.
Exactly. And weird stuff happens as well. And those make interesting stories. I mean, I could write a book on the things that I've seen in the last 11 years in my growth story.
Yeah.
So I would definitely make sure that we had more. But we have also learned that there are things we know and there are things we don't know as well. And so this one, there was a lot of elements to a podcast that we really did not know. And it's been great to have that guidance for us as well to sort of point us in the right direction too. Otherwise, we'd probably still be talking about it and not having actually produced an episode by now.
Yeah, I think we definitely took it and went, all right, we're going to run with this.
Yes.
Let's do this. So if you are talking to a brand and a brand says, I love what you do and I kind of want to do it myself, what would you say to them?
I would say it's maybe not going to happen as fast as you think it might happen. Get your ducks in a row. Think about your story or the stories you want to tell. What's the vision for it as well? There are a lot of podcasts out there, but some of them are so broad. So really think about, you know, is there an audience that you really want to tap into here? And for us, we decided ours was those who are growing, the entrepreneurs, people who have these stories. I guess, and this would be a plug for Ample, but get some help if you haven't done it before. I truly believe that we wouldn't be where we are now if we didn't have some assistance. And also, you know, just the pure amount of content that we would have had to sort of come up with on our own was really daunting. And I'm thinking, I already do 1,001 things in a day. Yeah. And whilst, you know, at my level, you know, CEO and co-founder, normally I wouldn't be doing these sorts of things. But this was something I took a personal interest in. And also wanted to make sure it was right because it was going to have our name on it. And so, yeah, that thinking like, where am I going to fit this in? Then it's the usual thought process with my team at times is, you know, when there's something with public speaking, whatever, it's like, just wheel Zane out again.
I know in the early days, before we decided that I would actually be the host, we tried so hard to champion you to be the host and you're like, no, I'm not doing it. Oh, well, come on, you'd be great. And you're like, no, I'm not doing it.
I mean, maybe I'll come on as a guest for our own podcast in the future as well and talk about my hustle story. But in terms of hosting, like, I just don't know where I'm going to find the time. And also, I mean, I was championing somebody in the company, you know, one of my team to host because I've been the face of the company for so long, but I'm very much ready to sort of like hand the torch to others in the company and let them have the spotlight. I've had it for 11 years. I'm ready to step out of the spotlight a little bit more now.
Yes, yeah. It is hard though. The host conversation was actually one of the hardest that we had. We had so much great conversation around the name, although we did go back and forth about the name.
Yeah, that's right. We did a little bit.
Sometimes names click and other times it takes a while. And I always say to brands, plan for that part of the process to be more than a couple of weeks, even though you want it to be a couple of weeks. Because I think like for us, we went back and forth quite a few times till we landed on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we wanted a pun because
we did want a pun.
So much of our company is about jokes and puns, and we share all of them on our internal socials all the time. It's just once someone starts, it goes on and on with people coming up with puns. Like I think it was a cheese theme the other day, and so it was all cheese puns, and it was just ridiculous. But yeah, that's why we thought the name had to feel like us too.
Everything had to feel like you.
Yeah,
we wanted to bring that fun energy that your company has. But coming back to the host conversation, we went back and forth on that one for so long as well. And I think we originally had someone in your company and then something happened and they either, had to take an extended leave and then it was like trying to find somebody else and would they have the right skill set, and it became quite a challenge, I think. Yeah. And so that I think that's also something maybe for brands to think about when they're thinking about a host. Don't always think that you have to have someone in your organization because sometimes it just doesn't work. Yep. It either doesn't work with the strategy or the requirements that you have for the host at that point in time. So I think that was definitely one of the other things that we sort of went back and forth on for a while, didn't we?
We did, yeah. And I guess that's something as well that didn't occur to us in the beginning was that it didn't have to be someone in the company hosting it. We thought that's what you had to do. So that was one of our assumptions and just lack of knowledge in this area as well.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing the bit of your story with us. Hopefully the marketers listening have taken a little bit from that in terms of how to plan and to think about what's it like to create a podcast. I'm excited to see where this goes. It's always interesting to see things like a 13.5% click-through rate on a podcast because most people oh, will they action it? Yeah, they do. Really do. When they hear something and they like it and they action it. And I think didn't you say you got your first actual signed off contract from a client within the first 4 weeks?
Yes, we did. We didn't actually realize that it happened until we looked at our marketing campaign attribution, like, oh, wait, there's a deal connected to this podcast.
Amazing.
That was our first bit of excitement, like, brilliant, okay. We're a sixth of the way to making it pay for itself.
Yes, it's a start and it's good. It's like I say, the podcasts are a marathon, not a sprint. And so they take time to build and grow, but the stats are already starting to prove themselves. And some of the results and the halo effect you're seeing in social is just phenomenal. We're so excited.
Yeah.
And we have some amazing guests coming up.
We do. The best is yet to come.
The best is 100% yet to come, and hopefully will continue for years to come. So thank you, Zane. Thanks for having us. Thanks for trusting in Ample too, and in me as the host.
Not a problem. It's been a wonderful journey so far.
Yeah, and it will continue to be. Yay.
Ample. Here.
Is this thing on?
Yeah, that's on. Don't touch that.